Sup nerds, today we have Necromon versus Invisimon Tribal. Robbie starts us off by hatching Kapuri, evoing into SB, playing Black Mimbu, Scorching top 4, adding another SB to hand. I hatch Dimimera, play Perp Mimbus for 3, Scorch top 4, add the Bakamon. And then Evo into Uko to choke Robbie to 1. He promotes, pops a boost, goes to 3. Evos into Raramon for 2 memory because of Espimon's reduction effect. Trashes the Espimon to draw 2. Evos into Oblivimon for 3 and flips my top face down security card face up. Alright, I promote, trigger Uko, Scourge top 3. I add the Necro, bot deck the rest. Hatch Dimimera. Play Analog Youth, Scourge top 3. Add the Phantomon. Evo into Candlemon for 0. Unfortunately, I can't really afford to swing at him because I'm certain that he's playing aces. Even though he's going to be able to pop it on the swing with his Raramon inheritable, I don't want to give him a free Evo into a Mega. So I just Evo into Bakamon and Raising to give him 2. He hatches Kapuri. Evos into Espimon. He swings security, Raramon. Trashes Oblivimon, blows up the Uko. Can't trigger the Dimimera because I don't have any targets in trash. He checks a Scramble. I don't have anything to play, so it's just going to go to my hand. And then his Oblivimon goes face up at the bottom of his security. Then he plays Altea for 4 to set me to 2. Altea, however you want to say that. So this is actually a very awkward matchup for Necromon specifically because of how Execute works with end of turn procedures and their dudes coming out of security. It basically gives him an uninteractable ace target anytime he has that set up. Because even if I Evo into Necromon and blow stuff up, I can't interact with that guy until I execute end of turn attack and then he plays his dude out before counter timing and can blast Evo on me. So I scramble Evo into Phantomon for 2. Pop the boost, go to 2, Evo into Metal Phantom for 1. Play another scramble for 2. Evo into Necro for 1 memory. Blow up the Raramon. And then I execute into security. And we have our first chat here. This is probably mostly my fault for not explaining to Robbie how execute works, where it's an end of turn timing. But his Oblivimon should actually come out of security before the security checks happen. So he would have the opportunity to ace me. But I am executing for 2 checks. First check, second check, scramble. He plays Espimon, scramble goes to hand, then end of attack. I gain a memory from Bakamon on deletion, tap Analog Youth, get another memory, and hatch Dimimera. Trigger Candlemon. I trash Ghostmon to blow up the Espimon. Trigger Phantomon inheritable. Play Ghost, trigger Ghost, Scourge top 3, add Phantomon. And then trigger Necromon. Play Phantomon back out. And then Dimimera effect. I'll add the Bakamon back. And Evo into Ghostmon and Raising. Then Evo into Bakamon for 2 and play Violet and Boots for free, and then he goes to 3 from Altea. And right as his dude comes out, I'm like, oh yeah, that should have come out before. And then I explain it to him. I don't want to rewind the entire game state because so much happened after the attack went through and everything, but I just say, okay, now we need to be wary. That does happen before the checks happen. So he promotes, and right here I'm like, oh yeah, that's an end of turn thing. So these would happen at the same time. Like, I did so much stuff and searched and everything, like I really don't want to try to recreate the game state. So he triggers Altea, start a main phase effect, tucks Cyberdramon Ace to flip my top security card face up. I'm just reading. I have not played against Invisimon up to this point, so I'm just learning what everything does. Flips Purple Memory Boost, that's pretty cool. Evos for 1 into Hover Espimon, flips the next security card face up. Triggers Scramble, pays 2 memory, Evos into Megadramon for 0. Triggers his effect, Scorches top 3. Tucks Hover Espimon, bot decks the rest, or trashes the rest, I'm sorry. He swings security, triggers the when attacking Cyberdramon effect to de-evo my Bakamon, then 7k. So the boost would actually hit the field first before his guy gets tucked, but it's not really a huge deal. So his dude goes to bottom security. He swings security, jamming, checks, and survives, obviously. Robbie plays Raramon for 4 memory, trashes Hagurumon X Antibody to draw 2, and then I'm thinking about Scramble at the start of my turn. I do pop 1, put Necromon on top, then unsuspend, draw for turn, promote, gain a memory from Violet and Boot, start of main phase. Evo into Bakemon for 2, draw 1, trash 1. So I Evo into Metal Phantom for 1, trigger Metal Phantom's effects. Delete himself to delete the Raramon, trigger Phantom Inheritable, play Bakemon for free, trigger Violet and Boots, tap to Evo into somebody for reduced cost by 2, so Evo into Phantom for 1 memory. And I don't trigger my Analog Youth here because I want to have extra memory to pull back turn when I execute him, or execute into him, I should say. Because I'm assuming I'm going to be able to trigger the Analog Youth once I execute into him, so that's why I don't trigger it here. So I pop the Mem Boost, go to 3, play Analog Youth for 2, Scourge top 3, add Ruin Mode to hand. Evo into Necro for 4, blow up the Cybergemon Ace, and gain 3 from Ace Overflow. Or actually, Robbie loses 3 from Ace Overflow. Then Evo into Bakemon for 2, and then I end of turn execute into security for 2 checks. And right here is another check. Like I said, the Oblivionmon should come out before the security is actually checked. Let Robbie enters counter timing, Evo's into Shadow Seraphi Ace, and I forget about the Oblivionmon at this point because I get blown out here, and I know I get blown out, which is unfortunate. So he draws for Evo, de-Evos 3 stages, now it's just 1 check at 1k, checks Invisi and dies, and then I trigger Demi Marimon to add the Phantomon back to hand. And then his turn at 3, his Oblivionmon should have come out before, and right here I'm like, oh yeah, we need to make sure that we don't forget that. And so I just tell him, since this is easy to recreate, I tell him if he wanted to, he could Evo the Shadow Seraphi on top of the Oblivionmon instead of the Megadramon if that like benefits him in any way. But other than that, this is actually a pretty easy thing to rewind. And unfortunately, we do have another chat here. Robbie forgets to draw for turn. That is just due to the confusion of us having the discussion about what he could have done, and just to ensure we understand that his stuff should come out before the checks happen if I execute into him. But it is another chat nonetheless. He hatches Capurimon, triggers Altea, start a main phase, tucks Oblivionmon under Oblivionmon, flips my top security face down, Evos into Oblivionmon for 3 memory, de-Evos my Bakemon, blows up my Bakemon, flips my top security face down, top face up security face down, or top face down security face up. Evos into Espimon and raising for 0. Swing security, goes to bottom, and then swings with Seraphi, and then tucks the Oblivionmon as well. That is pretty rough for me. Just free recovery. Recovery in blue-black. Who would have thunk? This is all trial by fire here. Like, I did not know what this deck did up to this point. I'm just learning it as we go for game 1. And he plays Hagurumon for 3, triggers effect, Scourges top 3, adds Altea and Invisimon. And then I'm thinking on Scramble, I do pop it. I put Metal Phantom on top, draw it for turn, hatch Koopy, gain 1 from Violet and Boots, Evo into Ghostmon and raising for 0. Evo into Bakemon for 2 memory. And at this point I'm like, man, this kind of sucks because he has 2 guys that are going to float out of his security at the end of his turn. I have 0 security, so I have no real way to protect myself. So I go ahead and scoop it up so Robbie does take game 1. By the way, if you guys enjoy this type of content, please like and subscribe. It really helps support the channel. And if you're interested in my Necromon deck profile, link for that will be in the pinned comment below. And if you're interested in early access to videos as well as other channel perks, consider becoming a channel member. The join button will be the subscribe button used to be if you're already subscribed. So I choose to go first for game 2, hatch Dimimera, Evo into Ghost, and then Evo into Bakemon for 2. Robbie hatches Capurimon, Evo's into Haguru X for 0, and plays Raramon for 4, trashes Haguru X, draws 2. Alright, so at this point I know that I cannot ever let him have a body stay on the field, because his bodies become very, very dangerous because they're free recovery as well as extra aggression as well as ace targets. So like, if I can help it, I want to keep his board completely clear. So I promote, play Analog Youth for 2, Scourge top 3, add Phantomon, thank you, very cool. I scramble for 2, Evo into Phantom for 0, trigger Phantom. I will execute into security for 7k, 1 check. He does Blast Evo, which I was surprised. Cybergemon Ace, Scourges top 5, whiffs. I survive the check, but end of attack, he pops himself. I trigger Analog Youth, gain a memory, hatch Demimera and Raising, gain 2 more memory from my inheritables, trigger Phantomon effect, play Bakemon, then add the Ghostmon from the Demimera effect, Evo into Ghostmon and Raising. And then I Evo into Metal Phantom for 4, triggers effect, blow his Cybergemon Ace up, gain a memory from my inheritable, and gain 3 from Ace Overflow. That was my plan the whole time, that's why I didn't swing into his dude with Execute. And then I just Evo into Bakemon for 2 to choke him to 1. He promotes. Evos into Hover SB for 2 memory and flips my Analog Youth face up. I decide not to scramble. I promote. Evo into Phantomon for 3, and this time I execute into him with Retail for 7k. So if he does Blast and it doesn't de-Evo me, I just blow his Ace up. End of attack, I gain a memory from Ghost, tap Analog Youth, gain another memory, and hatch Cupidmon and Raising, trigger Phantom effect. I play the Ghostmon back out. I'm hoping the Ghostmon reveals a rookie so I can Evo and Raising, but in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have done that. I should have just played a 4 and then added the Ghostmon back from the Demimera effect. It's just kind of greedy here. So I Scourge top 3, I add double Necromon off the Ghostmon effect, and then Demimera effect triggers. I add the Phantom back to hand, and then Evo into Bakemon for 2. I was also hoping to search a Violet and Boots, but we whipped on that as well. He hatches Kapurimon, Evos into Hagurumon for 0, and plays Altea for 4 to set me to 2. I Evo Candlemon and Raising. Scramble for 2, Evo into Phantom for 0, Evo into Necro for 4 memory, execute 12k 2 checks. Check an Altea, who cares? End of attack, I gain 2 memory from my own deletion, tap Analog Youth, whatever, gain another memory, trigger Phantomon first, play Bakemon, and then trigger Necro to play Phantomon back, and then he goes to 3 from one of his Alteas. He promotes. Triggers Alteas, start a main. Tucks Megadramon to flip my top face down security face up. He triggers the second one to do it again. This time he tucks Hagurumon X Antibody. Evos into Hagurumon X for 0, plays a token off of his effect. And we have another chat here. So Robbie just potato brains. I mean, I get it. He did Evo something on top of a level 3 before he Evoed into level 5. However, it's not a 4, so this is illegal. He basically warp Digivolves from a 3 to a 5 here into Megadramon. Triggers Megadramons when Digivolving, Scourges top 3. Tucks the Raramon and adds the Espimon to hand. Scrambles for 2 into Invisimon. Triggers Invisimon's effects. Flips face up, or face down security card face up. Blows up my Phantomon. I trigger Phantomon's on deletion. Play Bakemon back. And then it's my turn. I'm thinking on Scramble. I do pop the Scramble to put Necromon on top. And then draw it for turn. I promote Candle. I DNA into Chimeramon for 0 memory. Tuck Phantomon underneath. And this isn't a chet, it's just a misplay, because I'm pretty sure you can just target Invisimon with the minus 2000 DP from Chimeramon's effect because it's up to 4. However, I should have targeted both and just popped the 1000 DP token on the field, but it's not going to matter, but that is a misplay. Evo and a Necro for 4, blow up the Invisimon. So that token does have decoy. However, I'm about to swing for 2 checks, pull turn, and then I have another swing on the field. So if he does decoy, he immediately loses if I don't check anything bigger than 12k out of security, or like my Necromon survives the first check, I should say. So he does think about it, and he's like, nope, can't afford to do that. So everything goes to trash. And then I do execute into security. He blocks. That's fine. I gain 2 memory from my inheritables, pop Analog Youth, hatch Dimimera, gain another memory, trigger Phantomon effects, play Bakemon, trigger Necromon effects, play Bakemon, then realize I grabbed the wrong Bakemon. So I want to play double memory gain Bakemon. DNA into Chimera for 0, trigger Chimera's effect, tuck Ghostmon, Evo into Candlemon and Raising, and then Evo into Necromon for 4, execute into security for 12k 2 checks, check a Mem boost, check a Digimon, and then explain that I'm going to gain 3 memory from his on deletion and then swing for game with the Candlemon to avoid having to do all the shenanigans. So we do take game 2 and force a game 3. Let's go. So Robbie chooses to go first for game 3, hatches Kapuri, Evo's into SP, and Evo's into Hover SP for 2 memory. I hatch Dimimera, Evo into Ghostmon. Play Analog Youth, Scourge top 3, add Bakemon, trash the rest, and then Evo into Bakemon for 2. He promotes. He goes into Megadramon for 3, triggers his when Digivolving, Scourges top 3, adds Mega Seedramon, tucks a Guru X, and trashes the rest. I promote. Scramble for 2 into Metal Phantomon. I do pay memory for that. Trigger his effects, blow himself up to blow up his level 5, tap Analog Youth, gain a memory, and hatch Dimimera, and then gain 2 more memory from my inheritables, and then trigger Dimimera to add the Ghostmon back to hand. Evo into Ghostmon and Raising. Like I said, I can't let him have bodies on the field. They're super dangerous. I need to clear him as quickly as possible to avoid all the shenaniganery that he's trying to do. And Evo into Bakemon for 2 to choke him to 1. So he hatches Kapurimon, Evo's into Espimon, and plays that dude for 3. I promote. Evo into Phantomon for 3, execute into security 7k 1 check, check a black Mem boost, end of attack, delete himself, gain a memory from Ghostmon inheritable, tap Analog Youth, gain another memory, hatch Dimimera, trigger Phantomon effect first, play Ghostmon, trigger Ghostmon on play, Scourge top 3, add Ghostmon and Metal Phantomon, and then Dimimeramon effect. I add the Phantomon back to hand, Evo Ghostmon and Raising, then Evo into Bakemon for 2 to choke him to 1. He promotes, gains a memory from his Tamer, Evo's into Hover Espimon for 1 memory, flips my top security card face up, pops a boost, goes to 3. Evo's into Oblivimon for 3, flips the next card face up. Swing security, jamming, goes to bottom. End of attack, draws 1 from Hover Espimon. Then plays Haguru X, or Hagurumon, Scourges top 3. Adds Altea and Invisimon. Then my turn at 3. Think on the scramble. Decide not to do it. Go ahead and not to spin, draw for turn, promote. Evo into Genkakemon, promote for 2. DNA into Chimeramon for 0, trigger Chimeramon effect. Tuck the Bakemon, memory gain on deletion inheritable. Minus is 2000 DP on both, I remembered this time, so it does kill the Hagurumon, then his Hover Espimon is 3000 DP. Evo into Necro, blow up the Hover Espi. Execute into security, and then his dude does come out before the checks go through, unfortunately, so it does give him an ace target. Evo's into Shadow Seraphi, it de-evos me by 3 stages. And then he could block here, and it actually would just blow up my Ghostmon before the block actually went through, or the battle went through. But the retail on my stack makes Robbie forget that, and he's thinking that the battle would still happen, and he would die to the retail. So we take those. So he does let the check go through. I gain 2 memory from my inheritables, and then I can trigger the Dimimeramon. Unfortunately, I can't pull turn completely because Analog Youth requires it to be a level 5 or higher. I add the Bakemon to hand from the Demi Mirror, and then his turn at 1. He hatches Capurimon. Evos into Hagurumon. Evos into Haguru X. Swing Security, checks. Doesn't need jamming because he knows that he's bigger than that. Then plays Altea to give me 3. I am going to scramble this time. So pop the scramble. Put the Bake on top and play the Ghostmon out. And then Ghostmon effect, search top 3, add the Necro and the Bake, and then draw for turn. Hatch Cupimon. Evo into Ghostmon. So I Evo into Bakemon for 2, triggers effect, play Violet and Boots for free. And then I Apparition Legion for 8 memory. Bot deck Invisimon and Espimon. So I play Necro and Ghostmon. Trigger Necro's effect first, blow up the Shadow Seraphi, gain 4 memory from Overflow. Number 1, I forget about Necromon's other effect. He does get to play level 5 or lower on play as well as on deletion. I completely forgot that, so that was another misplay. I try to execute before my Ghostmon on play triggers. Robbie actually has to remind me about that. I'm like, oh yeah, search top 3, add Bakemon, and then 2 checks, 12k. Then end of attack, he blows himself up. Play the Metal Phantom back out. And then, why not, trigger Violet and Boots. Nah, just Evo and Reapermon for 1 memory, because why not? I don't know, maybe it'll keep him from scrambling or something. Then Robbie's turn at 4, he promotes, gains 1 from the Tamer, triggers the Altea effect. Tucks Oblivimon to flip my security card face up. Evos into Hover SB for 2, flips the next card face up. Alright, so he Evos into Oblivi for 3, flips the next card face up. And now we are in turn, so Robbie's turn 0, I'll be turn 1, he'll be turn 2, and then I'll have the final turn 3. So he swings security, draws 1 and trashes 1, and then the attack can't be redirected, so he just skips to the end where he puts Oblivimon face down in security or face up in security. And I'm like, I have blockers, and he's like, can't be redirected. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Yep. So he checks the promote, his guy goes to security, and then he draws from Hover Espimon's end of attack effect. Then Evos into Cyberdramon for 3, triggers his effect. Scorches top 5. Plays Altea. Bot decks the rest. And de-evos the Reapermon. And then my turn at 3. Draw for turn. Promote. Gain a memory from Violet. So Evo into Phantom for 3. Evo into Metal Phantom for 1. Trigger Metal Phantom effects. Kill himself to pop the Cyberdramon, gain 3 from Overflow, gain 2 more from Inheritables, gain another from Analog, hatch Demimera, trigger Phantomon effect, plays Bakemon. And then right here, I've been so scarred from him playing a dude out that's in his security every time I swung that I forgot that I have to be executing into security for that guy to come out. And I'm sitting there like trying to figure out how to play around it. And Robbie's like, why don't you just swing out? Like, you have game. And I'm like, no, I don't. And I'm like, oh yeah, you right. And so I just turn my stuff sideways. Yeah, that PTSD from the dude coming out of security scarred me. But we do take the match 2-1, but I appreciate you guys stopping by. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy seeing this kind of content. Want to come back for more. But until next time, see ya.